Alright everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday Reviews with your host, your wife Smuggler's Corn. Today we are reviewing a whiskey. It's Lexington. We're also reviewing Red Dead Redemption because I know, well, Gone Holio mainly. He has been pushing for me to review Red Dead for a while now. So I'm going to review that. And I saw The Road finally, so we got The Road coming up for you as well. And yeah, so let's kick this thing off right. So, I was thinking to myself the other day, walking through the liquor store, I was thinking about what whiskey I was going to do because I'm kind of running low on them. But then I was walking through and something just caught my eye, right? It's a really nice whiskey. It's Lexington. And I'll show you the bottle here. This is what the bottle looks like. It's very, plain looking, but that's so cool to me. It's just a horse. And it's very Western style, it's awesome. I like this bottle a lot. It's a Lexington, Kentucky bourbon. It's 83 proof, and meaning it's 43% alcohol, which is not the strongest, but it's fine enough. So, upon drinking this this whiskey, I've found out that it's actually really good. The taste of it is pretty tasty. I enjoy it a lot. Right now, yeah, so the taste really comes off as, it hits the palate pretty smoothly. It's not as hard because it's not that potent of a whiskey. And then the aftertaste is what's really good. It's more of a smoky barrel. You can tell that it's a barrel whiskey from the aftertaste. So with that, I'm going to read you a little excerpt from the actual card that comes on the bottle itself. This is the card that comes on the bottle. 90, rated 95 points by out of 100 by the tasting panel. Whomever the tasting panel might be, not quite sure. But here's what the bottle says. Right? Passion, quality, tradition. Patiently aging in Kentucky for years in the finest charred white oak barrels, Lexington Bourbon embodies the tradition and rich history of whiskey making. At 86 proof, sorry I was wrong, it's 86 not 83, it combines the highest quality of select grains of rye, malted barley, and corn with purified water. Because you obviously don't want water that's been tainted with disease and stuff. You want purified water. I want Zephyr Hills in my whiskey. I don't want any of that crazy fluoride-ridden stuff, alright? And, oh yes, the resulting flavor boasts deep aromas of aged oak. That's probably the barrels that they're putting it in and stuff. And a hint of vanilla, alright? That's what the card says, alright? You see, it's got a little horse inside the card and stuff. Yeah, I'd have to say they're kind of spot on with the taste though. It does give a little hint of vanilla, and yeah, it's a very good whiskey. I definitely suggest it to anybody. Really, I don't really recall how much it cost. I think it was $24.99 for 750 milliliters, which is kind of expensive if you're just looking for a regular whiskey to drink that's not insanely expensive. Yeah, that one's a bit expensive, but yeah, I would definitely suggest getting it. So go out and buy a bottle of Lexington Kentucky Straight Bourbon because it's very good. And yeah. So basically, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey is gonna have to get an 8.7. 8.7 because it's not as strong. If it was strong, say a Wild Turkey or Knob Creek or something, if it was 50%, but it kept that same taste, which I don't know if they make a different kind, but it was 50% and had that same taste, we'd be looking at a 9.8, easy 9.8. But since it's not that strong, we're gonna have to go with 8.7. You heard it here yourself from your wife Smuggler's Corn, alright? The only blog that reviews whiskeys, video games, music, art, books, whatever. Alright, so stay tuned. We're gonna get right rolling into our next review, which is The Road. Alright, welcome back to Your Wife Smokes Corn's Whiskey Wednesday Reviews, featuring yours truly, Your Wife Smokes Corn. Alright, I don't know if it's actually coming up in gray, but it should. I tried to put on a gray effect, so if it did, that's great. Great, puns. Anyways, yeah, so moving on. The Road. The Road is my next review, and, I'd have to say that The Road is probably one of the best movies I've seen in quite some time. And it's so good, in fact, that it made me depreciate the value of a game such as The Last of Us, because after seeing it, you can obviously tell where The Last of Us got basically all of its ideas from. Like, basically, it feels as if The Last of Us ripped a lot of the chunk of The Road straight out of the movie itself. So, alright, but that being said, this isn't a blast on The Last of Us. I think it's still a great game. I stand by my review for it. And, that being said, it's obvious where they took a lot of their ideas. So, moving on. The Road is a phenomenal experience in which we look into the lives of two people, a man and his child. And the man is played by Viggo Mortensen, while the child is played by, I think his name's Sophie, like Smith McPhee or something, or J.O. Smith McPhee, I don't know. But, yeah, so the movie looks into those two lives while they're traveling south towards the coast. The mother of the child and Viggo Mortensen's wife, she dies. So, and the movie's not even about her. She's just dead. She's just dead throughout the movie. You're explained a little bit about it, just enough to understand that what they're dealing with, and his like trust issues, and like how he feels about her and the way she died. That you can tell that this guy's seriously broken. And so basically, I just want to point out, like, I wrote up a huge long write-up on why The Road is such a good piece. I'd recommend reading it, because it's going to be kind of hard for me to explain it all, like, while talking. But anyways, so The Road looks into these lives, and throughout the entire story, like, these two don't have names. They're just called the man and the child, or Papa and boy. And there's a lot of different things surrounding this, and like the reason I think that they did that was because it shows that the story's not about those two. It's about the world that they live in, what they're trying to get through. And I feel as if, like, that sense of crushing despair throughout the entire movie, it's ever so prevalent whenever those two don't have names. You just realize that it doesn't matter about who they are. Like, their stories won't matter because they aren't being recorded. Their stories won't, like, live on, basically, because it's basically just a testimonial of what it would be like if the world just went to shit and, like, humanity just collapsed in on itself. And with that being how it is, The Road portrays that perfectly. Like, letting alone all sorts of amazing quotes that I honestly can't think of off the top of my head, but it just presents itself in such a unique way. And another reason why I like it so much is the movie is very gray, and like it deals with shades of gray the entire movie, and it's visually giving you that cue that this entire world that they live in is a shade of gray, basically. There's no right or wrong choices. There's no good or bad people. It's just people trying to get by. It's just it's the greater of two evils, basically. If I need to kill this guy so I can eat later, then I need to kill this guy. It's a fight for survival that the movie looks into and like portrays so well. Right? It's the not being able to trust everyone. So I'd have to say I want to talk. I'd love to talk more about it, but it'd have to be more of a discussion thing as opposed to a review. But anyways, I suggest 100% everyone should see this movie. The Road is an amazing look at just life in general in a post-apocalyptic future. So, that being said, I personally give The Road a 9.8. It would have a 10, but I don't feel as if it's worth a 10, mainly. Like, there were some parts. The reason it's getting a 9.8 is because the little boy, I just really got pissed off at him at some points. But, yeah, so you're here yourself. Your wife smoking corn. The Road is a 9.8 out of 10. Alright everyone, welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday's Reviews with your host, your wife smokes corn. The last review on the docket for the day is Red Dead Redemption. It was really good. The game was very good. I'd have to thank Gone for bringing it to light for me. Like, I'd played it before and I'd never really got that far into it because I think I had to give it up for some reason. But I'd played a little bit of it before, and now that I've actually gone back through and played it, the game's fantastic. It's a great game. That being said, given story-wise and gameplay-wise, I'd have to give the game it's got a great score right out of the gates, just because of that. The story and the gameplay is fantastic. That being said, the repetitiveness of it killed me. Like, every other mission was basically riding to some town on the other side of the map and fending off bands of marauders trying to take whomever I'm escorting over there. The game is basically one giant escort mission that's replayed time and time again throughout different stories and missions, and like it just got really redundant, It was terrible at some points, and I almost fell asleep playing it. Like, it was really boring at certain points because I was doing the exact same thing over and over, and like, say, Lord forbid me have to drive a carriage and shoot somebody as they're attacking me because I hit one rock or go over a railroad track and I flip the carriage, and then they make me restart the mission. It's just like those missions right there, like fending off people while driving, or riding I should say, fending off people while riding and carriage or the horses, it drove me insane. It was so overdone. I believe it was a great mechanic and a great idea that they just shot in the leg because they thought it was so good that it just needed to keep happening, and it didn't. It really didn't. They could have found much easier ways to do it. I would have much rather spent half the time just listening to people talk. Like, say, whenever you're in the carriage, you jump in the carriage and it just says, skip to destination. I loved those parts way more than fighting people off, because then I just got to hear them talk. I got to experience the story that I'm playing the game for, instead of listening to them talk while shooting off marauders, which is absurd to me. There's no way we're riding full speed, I might add. We're riding full speed, and I'm shooting a gun, and me and whomever I'm riding with are holding regular conversation. That's impossible. Like, that's just insane to me. Alright, another critique I have on it is the fast travel. It's horrible. The fast travel is one of the worst fast travel experiences I've had in a game. I don't like the fact that I have to ride out of town once I get a mission. If I need to get across the map, I have to ride out of town, set up a campfire, and then I can fast travel. That makes no sense to me. Like, in no case would I ever be like, alright, well, I need to go wherever, so I better take a nap because it's going to be a long ride. No, I'm probably just going to go and worry about sleeping once I get there. Like, it's crazy. And like, half the time you do it and then you have to spend 6 hours. So no matter what, unless you ride there by yourself, you spend 6 hours. So 6 hours is gone of the day. And like, in some cases, that means you show up in the town and you get there 6 hours later, and now where you need to go is closed, which that happened probably 20 different times to me. It's happened all the time. That being said, those are my two main critiques of the game. Like, I love the game. The game's amazing. Like, I love the style, the setting. Like, John Marston's one of the coolest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. And, like, he's just ice cold, and, like, his, like, style, his, like, political views, how he views God, he's very, he's a man that lives in the gray. Much like the road, basically. Like, he's a man that lives in a gray tone. Like, he doesn't choose a side, the side chooses him. Like, so if it's he's got his own morals, he's got his set way of doing things, in which if other people just happen to wander into his path, they get shot. Like, it's wrong, it's bad, but it's just how he is, and I love that. Like, he's an awesome main character. He's a great main character, and there's just so much about him. And moving on, another thing that I loved about the game was the horseback riding is really good. Like, even though the horseback fighting, it gets redundant, obviously, but it's really good. It's well done, except in certain parts, of course. Like, okay, when you go to Mexico for the first time, and you finally do that insane fight once you get across the thing, which was way too long, by the way. Well, you finally do that fight, and you and Irish finally make it to Mexico, then you get on your horse, and you start riding up your little mountain and stuff, and they start playing that song, and that song's really nice. Problem is, I accidentally fell off the mountain halfway through the song while I was looking at the scenery, because I don't even remember how, but I died, and I missed the rest of the song, which wasn't very fair at all. So, that being said, despite parts like that, like missing certain things because you die, or not being able to witness certain songs because you die, like, the game is still amazing. Like, I love lassoing people and throwing them on train tracks. That's another thing that's great about the game. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this review as well. So that being said, the Red Dead Redemption gets a 9. No, we're gonna have to give it a 9. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption gets a 9 because it is redundant, very redundant at some points, and very repetitive. But it is such an amazing game, an amazing experience, and a story that everyone, I feel, should have to, not have to per se, but they should experience it, okay? So, that being said, those are my 3 reviews today. The Road, which I gave a 9.8, Red Dead, 9, and Lexington Bourbon, which got 8.7. So, anyways, I hope you guys tune in next week for, or technically Wednesday, because I'm doing another review Wednesday because I owe it to you guys. So, just tune in, stay tuned, drink up and game on. Your wife, I'm out. I love you all, except Gone, because he made me play Red Dead, which was a really good game, but still hate him.